We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. And we shall never surrender. Unless White Guild overtakes us and we allow a bunch of people to come in and cause havoc. The video already got taken down already, I bet.
Definitely.
Yeah, so, hi, welcome to End Credit Reviews on episode of Unscripted. This is Tyler from End Credit Reviews.
And Steven from Steven Lawson Studios.
Yes, and today is our review on the movie Dunkirk. Now, sorry it took a while to get this review up and that. We've been kind of busy. So, this is a new movie by Christopher Nolan that he has written and directed. The movie Dunkirk is based off the true story about back during the early days of, well, maybe middle of World War II, depending on which time period you thought it took place in, because some people thought that World War II started in the mid-30s, even though it didn't officially start till 1939. Okay. So basically, it's about the evacuation of this area of Dunkirk, which is a city in northern France, and very much the British and French forces are trying to evacuate while the Nazi German forces are coming in. Now, what's interesting about this movie to me was that, when I was looking it up on IMDb, a lot of the cast members were very unknown. Like, I didn't recognize most of these people.
Yeah, there's quite a few that are, at least to me, first-time viewers, but I suppose since a lot of them were British, they could be known in other, more obscure British things, but definitely new for the United States and the world stage.
I even looked them up, and I didn't really recognize them from anything, even like British stuff. But yeah, so of course we have a few actors that are recycled from other Nolan films. Of course we have Tom Hardy, and of course I can tell that he was using this movie because he kind of had his Bane voice and mask going on.
Yes, and his role was to crash this plane with no survivors.
The fighter rises.
Passa, dashi, passa.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yep. Several points where we were saying that in the theaters.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, there was another actor, I think, that was recycled again from other Nolan films. That was Cillian Murphy.
Was that Scarecrow?
Yeah, the guy who plays Scarecrow in the Batman movies he made as a survivor who's like, oh, I'm not going back to Dunkirk. And this other guy was like, oh, yes, we are. Or whatever. And that guy was played by, I'm trying to remember his name, Mark Rylance. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's a guy who's trying to go back to Dunkirk to try, well, he's not going back there. He is in Britain and going to Dunkirk to try to help people out because the evacuation is going very slow. And this actor was from Bridge of Spies. He won an Oscar for that movie. He was in the BFG.
Let's see, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was like the main character, and that movie's not very good. I'm sorry, it just was eh.
Yeah, I thought it was fine, that one, but it's pretty goo-goo kitty stuff.
It was generic, even for kids stuff. I'm not trying to be mean.
Yeah, no.
One acting choice that I was like, oh, really, was Harry Styles as one of the British soldiers.
Harry Styles, I'm drawing.
He was like the guy they saved before those, like, that boat, like, collided with that barge. And he was also in the boat with him later on, eating those, like, toasted jelly sandwiches.
Oh, yeah, the call for a toast scene, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, great, One Direction guy. And yeah, I'm just, I guess I'm really against singers as actors.
It's, it was supposed to be, right next to France, so a lot of poofy-foofies were coming from
yeah,
that area, apparently.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, sadly, this the weekend that this came out was the same weekend that Valerian movie, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Valerian, whatever. Movie's bombing right now, but that one starred for Yana, and I'm like, well, I guess you didn't learn that much from Battleship.
Seriously, piece
but
of shit.
But this is definitely better than Battleship. You can quote me on this when it comes to releasing this on like Blu-ray and 4K. Just say, "End credit review says better than Battleship."
That's right. What
Which,
praise.
yeah, it's not that hard to make a better movie than Battleship.
Yep.
Yeah. I think one thing that stood out to me also looking at IMDb and also beforehand, this is the shortest movie Christopher Nolan has made in a very long time at less than 2 hours long.
Definitely.
So, what did you think of that?
I kind of noticed. It felt. It's weird because to me it felt long, but at the same time I knew, when it was coming to a close, and yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk about everything because I got some criticisms towards the end before we, give our final verdict. But I did notice it was, quite a bit shorter than the typical 2.5 to pushing 3 hour, film deadline.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that stood out to me was the fact of the soundtrack. I love hearing the ticking time clock or stopwatch.
That was
Definitely
nice.
showed how antsy everyone was and how there was an urgency to get out of there and, time's running out. In addition to that, I liked how there were different shots in the movie. Like, we see this one guy just go into the ocean, like, screw it, I'm so desperate. I'm just gonna swim over there, I could die, but hey, it's better than certain death over here.
Yeah.
And then there's this great shot I love where it show all these guys, like, looking up to see this airplane come in. And when we see them, like, all ducking, like, hundreds of people to maybe thousands of soldiers, like, ducking. And I think when the teaser was released, someone noticed that one of those extras was kind of grinning or smiling or whatever. I think they reshot the scene, they recut it in a way, which I'm
Makes
like,
sense.
good. They fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like too distracting. I think one of the main characters, I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I kind of noticed at one point I looked at you and said, "Hey, does it me or does he kind of look like a discount Christian Bale?"
Definitely, yeah. There was that aspect. I forgot exactly who that was, but
Me too. There was a lot of not very well known ones.
hmm yeah. One thing about this film that I'll go into a bit that I don't know if you felt this way, but overall, in the way that the narrative was told, and how it kept going back and forth between several characters, it's clear that the protagonist was supposed to be kind of that boy Tommy.
So
Yeah, Tommy Wiseau, that's right. You are tearing me apart, French Air Force. No, but the kid they show in the commercials on the beach and everything, that it's pretty clear he's supposed to be, the main protagonist. But honestly, quite a few of the people I just did not feel anything for whatsoever, and it's like, I guess it'll be cool to see you get shot, but that's about the the best I can say about it. These people, I just, they were kind of just there, and sure, the stakes were, pretty high for them, but the way that the story was being told and whatnot just didn't click with me, and I didn't care about this Tommy. And it's like, alright, he made it back. Well, I don't give two shits either way. So, but
yeah. Back to the cast. There's a couple of them I wanted to mention. One of them was Kenneth Branagh or Branagh.
Probably Branagh.
Branagh or whatever. I don't know exactly how you pronounce his last name, but he was really good in this movie. For those of you who don't know him, he's an actor and also a director. He starred in and directed Mary Shelley's Frankenstein back in the 90s. He also directed the first Thor movie and the live-action Disney Cinderella.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it kind of goes back and forth on acting and directing, which is kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
I felt like this was definitely one of his better performances I've seen, but I haven't seen him act in too many movies. But
yeah, me neither.
one that I remember because, well, not in a good way, was Billy Howell as Petty. No, sorry. No, that's not him. I'm trying to remember who it was, but there's this one with the kids. Oh, there it is. Barry Killigan, or whatever is George, basically one of the boys of Mark Rylance's characters, and
Oh yeah, he was that ugly mug who looked
he
like a
was
complete
yes,
doofus.
he was so ugly looking. Like, my God, I think the Frankenstein monster is more pleasant to look at than him.
Yeah, I know that there are jokes about like ugly, especially in the face and teeth, British people, but man, he hit the nail on the head for that. Like this guy
Well,
was
he
just
didn't even.
unpleasant to
Well,
look at.
well, but the thing was that his teeth was not the problem.
Sure,
It was
yeah.
just his face, teeth or no teeth. I mean, come
Seriously.
on.
He did just look like a complete caveman in the 21st or in the 20th century.
Yeah,
Excuse me, we're in the 21st, but
the teenage caveman.
seriously, man. And not to spoil anything about this, but towards the end, talking about
Yeah.
this kid as being a hero.
Yeah, that was so
Please.
just really dumb.
All you have to do then to be a hero is be in the right place at the right time.
Uh-huh.
It's completely stupid. Oh no, just honor them because they're so brave. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's just like when you take credit for killing someone even though you didn't do anything about it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
was there when it happened. I was drinking coffee and using the bathroom, but, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, what would you give this movie, Steven?
Well, this, I must confess, was definitely not one of my favorite Christopher Nolan films. I always, you know, got to watch Nolan stuff because he's arguably my favorite director, if not, you know, in the top 4 to 5 for me. But this definitely was not my favorite of his. I think it was somewhat better overall than Interstellar, in my view.
Mhm.
Some people will probably disagree with that just because they prefer sci-fi to the war movie genre. But to me, Interstellar just did a couple extra things that are like, what? Why are you getting all metaphysical and ooh, look at how deep I am? You know, not necessary. We were expecting more, and this one I feel that I was definitely expecting more. Especially I guess in terms of a coherent narrative, because in the beginning it was pretty clear, but then it was clear that, or rather unclear, that they kind of just started without, you know, showing different times or dates on screen, like they did in the very beginning, that it was different parts of the day and different perspectives of, you know, the same scene happening later in the film. And it was just, to me, kind of a jumbled mess in terms of that. Like, what is going on here? And, you know, just that was very confusing for me. And I mean, I still got it. I understood it. It wasn't one of these, you know, oh, I'm too precious to you know, to follow the narrative. Ooh, too many explosions. I'm a old person who's out of touch. But you know, to me, it was kind of just very all over the place, and that wasn't a great thing. I did like a lot of the tension. The soundtrack was good. The costume design and stuff was on point, of course. And there were some characters that I think stood out. The, you know, is it the general or captain that was on the
Captain, I think
pier
it was.
that was there the whole time? And
Maybe it was Captain, I don't know.
and of course Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy in pretty much anything he's in is at least good. And
Except for This Means War.
he was in that?
Yeah, with Chris Pine.
Oh, okay. I
That
haven't
really
seen
bad
that.
rom-com.
I try to avoid cancerous materials, so
Well, the
I know
majority.
nothing about it. Yeah.
Well, the majority.
But yeah, I definitely think that he was, to me, probably the best part, and he was, in the plane just shooting down. I guess it was the French and really nailing it in that part, and I liked him a lot. But overall, for the whole story, I didn't feel much connection to the characters. I didn't care if they lived or died. Actually, I would have preferred if more died in horrible ways, like a war movie really shows. But I think this was PG-13, right?
Yeah.
So, they can't show too much, like a spleen.
Yeah, but they can drop a few F-bombs for some reason.
Yeah, they can. But definitely not one of my favorite Christopher Nolan films, and I would recommend seeing it, but lower your expectations, and you'll probably have a better time, and know that the narrative's kind of complicated and not in a interesting way like Inception, kind of just unnecessarily. So with that in mind, I've kind of been sloshing it around in my brain, weighing roughly what I'd give it, and I feel something in the area of like a 78 to a 79% is about right.
That's, I'm kind of surprised that low.
Mm-hmm.
So, personally, for me, I think it's better than some of the other movies by Christopher Nolan. Recently, I got around to watching all of his movies, and that I would say that, yeah, I agree with you, Steven, it's better than Interstellar.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that The Prestige was better, and his Batman movies and Inception are better.
Definitely.
But overall, I would say this is definitely, without a doubt, one of the best movies I've seen all year. And yeah, we have some really excellent movies that came out this month. We had War for the Planet of the Apes, and also Spider-Man Homecoming was solid. So we already got, some good, legitimately good movies this month for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what kind of dodos want to see that, what was that movie with Queen Latifah?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. What? Oh, was it that girls one, like Girls?
Yeah, pretty,
Night?
or something stupid like that. But anyway, with the movie itself, I did like the action. I did like how, tense some stuff was. And I felt like the short length of this movie definitely worked towards its advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the movie would have been like a half hour longer or more. It definitely would have hurt it in pacing. I do like how again, I liked how a lot of the actors were very unknown that got, kind of more connected to them. I also thought it was interesting that we don't really see the Nazi Germans that much in the movie.
Yeah,
so it's kind of
really
like I kind of call it, I bet that eventually someone will make an editorial called Dunkirk and the Unseen Enemy.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Copyright and credit reviews.
There are some articles already about like racism and nonsense about
We'll
it.
get to that. But I was gonna make an end thing. I did like the soundtrack by Hans Zimmer. In addition to that, I felt like the problem with the movie was kind of the beginning, to where it just kind of begins off the ground running without really establishing, some of the characters that kind of care about them, which I felt like was kind of a problem for me. But overall, Dunkirk is a very good war movie, and it's kind of cliche seeing movies made in World War II, but this is definitely, I would say, one of the better ones. Hopefully make a World War I movie sometime in the future, because we don't have too many of those. We need a lot more of them.
Right.
So overall, I would give Dunkirk about 3 stars out of 4.
Okay, I gotcha. About the whole war movie thing, I would say that last year's what do you call it?
Hacksaw Ridge?
Hacksaw Ridge. To me, that was definitely better than this.
Me too. Yeah, probably because of its content, and also the characters were better established, I would have to say.
Yeah, and it was much more driven by them, and that was so important. But and I agree, though, that we've had some good ones this year, and to me, this is fine. It's decent to maybe good-ish, but
Yeah,
definitely not great. It could have been a lot more than it was. So
Yeah, true. Now, something that Steven did mention before, I was going to save to the end. Of course, you can't have a movie like this without some people on the internet doing some dumb, unnecessary complaining by saying, oh, this movie is lacking gender diversity and people of color.
Triggered.
I think it was the USA Today article that did that, but then they got so much backlash that they changed it to they removed all those complaints.
Mm-hmm.
And that because it really makes me mad when people are like want to change a movie. They're like, oh, we don't care about historical accuracy. We want racial and gender diversity. We don't care about, being actually accurate. Because I really hated seeing in like Transformers the Last Night and also that King Arthur movie, they just sprinkle like diversity. Like, I don't think there were too many like, there was not much diversity in Europe during the Dark Ages and Middle Ages. And not even like in the Renaissance, like that Beauty and the Beast movie. It was like, there weren't those many black people living in France. And wasn't there something called slavery?
True, yeah.
I'm just saying, so like, I know it's a fantasy movie, but still, this is before the French Revolution. So, seriously, why you keep changing history for, folks?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get you there.
Yeah. I just really hate it when they do that sort of thing. I just really love history, folks.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Tyler from End Credit Reviews.
And Steven from Steven Lawson Studios.
And we hope to make more episodes of After the Credits, or did I just say unscripted? I think I might have messed up.
Yeah, I think it's...
After the Credits, I said? Or well, that's what it's called now.
We've said both, so both areas are covered. Sorry
okay, maybe I said after the credits. Probably I'll put it in text like, sorry, it's after the credits, not unscripted. It's after the credits still. Sorry about that for the confusion.
And maybe we'll put this in the middle of the video or at the beginning so that it will be similar to the movie where things are out of place in the timeline.
Oh, yeah, especially like that movie Following, which was his first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
we hope to make more in the future. Please like and subscribe. Bye.